galaxy far, far away. And a bookshelf straight out of the 90s. From Thrawn to Dantooine and everything in between. This is Legends Look Back.
Welcome everybody to Legends Look Back, a show brought to you by Youtini.com, a show that's been described as Kirsten Dunst's favorite Star Wars podcast to listen to while wearing jean shorts, where we talk all about all things Star Wars Legends. We're celebrating our rich EU history as well as diving into lesser-known Star Wars classics. As always, I'm your host, Jared Mays, and I'm joined again this week right over the shoulder of the Red Ranger himself, Freddie C. How's it going, man?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. I'm pretty excited to go over everything. I took a look at the show notes, and it was, I would say, it's a lot of content, first of all, so I hope we can cover everything, but it's going to be pretty awesome. I like it.
Yeah, I'm going to have Eric pestering me about why I haven't finished the Youtini article that I'm supposed to be writing, and the answer is because I wrote 2,000 words in this week's show notes. I don't know if that's true or not, but it's definitely 5 pages long. I think I spent more time on this than I spent on my grad school research paper this week, so that's a lot of fun. This week, it's not just me and Freddie. We've got the co-creator of Project Stardust, the mother of Huskies, queen of coffee, wielder of the banhammer, lover of capes, writer of Youtini reading guides, master of the style guide, and all-around flabbergastingly good writer and friend, Meg Dowell. She challenged me to use the word flabbergast. I said it. I said the words. How's it going, Meg?
You got the word in. I'm so proud of you. It's good. It's good. I'm good. I'm so happy to be back.
Yeah. You are a repeat for us. A hat trick, if you will. A trilogy of guest appearances. Legends is all about its trilogies, isn't it? We're even tonight talking about a canceled trilogy. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Meg, before we get deep into the show, let me ask you, tell us something that you've been working on for Youtini, something that's out, people can check out right here, right now, right after the podcast. Don't leave, your current window, because this is the place to be. We got an awesome group in the chat. Yeah, Wes has given me a shout out of my old school OG Youtini hoodie. I think this thing was available for like 3 months ever until Joxy redesigned it. But I do want to hear, Meg, what's something that you've been working on for Youtini that people can check out?
Other than the very extensive write-up that we posted today, why don't you check out the Canteen of Comics episode that just came out featuring me? I don't know why I'm all over Youtini and Twitter today, but hello.
Everything. Yeah, here's some Meg. You get some Meg. Everybody gets Meg.
All today. But yeah, Matt and I talked about the Bounty Hunter comic and some of the issues that were happening with that. So it's a really good conversation, and it's a really good episode. So go check that out after you're done here.
After this episode. I gotta say, Meg, out of anything we've ever done at Youtini, and I say ever meaning like a year and a half since I've been on the team, it might be the thing that I'm proudest of, because you and Matt have a really frank, vulnerable conversation, and I like that it just has space to breathe. Normally that show is very, very well produced, quick. They make the drinks, they talk about the comics, they drink the drinks, they make some jokes. But this time around, you really sink into the meat of what's a tough discussion to have. I think you handled it especially well, and some of the issues you talked about in that episode are not far from what we're discussing on today's episode of Legends Look Back either. Of course, if you're watching this now, first of all, welcome. Glad you're here. Second of all, this is something that now we're going to try at a little bit later time, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 6:30 p.m.
Pacific, there you go.
I almost said, p.m. Pacific. For some reason, that sounded weird coming out of my lips. 6:30 p.m. Pacific, California time. What do you call your time zone? Pacific. I already said it. Yeah. And, of course, you can also catch the show. We're posting it each and every week in your podcast player and also on YouTube. Thanks to our video editor, Nathan, for taking the reins on making that happen, and Andrew as well. You can, of course, subscribe to our channel and show your support of the show with Twitch Prime. If you've got an Amazon Prime subscription, it's the best deal on the internet, everybody. You can throw your credits our way and help us conquer the galaxy one book at a time. And, of course, we want to say thank you to our incredible patrons who supported us all along the way to help us get here, as if we've arrived. We clearly have not fully arrived, but here we are anyway. Couldn't be more excited to be talking.
Yeah, so
Star
how about
Wars
we
Legends
start off
books
with
you
the
all.
moment
And
I
Freddie,
saw
this
it.
is pretty exciting. We got a
First
new
of all,
segment in the show,
we were
listener
in our
feedback.
chat, right, as
You
always.
want to
and,
introduce the
Corey said,
this
"Whoa,
incredible
guys,
comment
check
that we
this
got,
out!"
Freddie?
And it was a novel of feedback. And honestly, I read every single word probably twice because it was so fascinating. And so Stephanie on YouTube, thank you first of all for leaving this feedback. And Jared's about to read the whole thing. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to read most of it. And what's amazing, Freddie, is that she didn't just leave this comment on one episode. She's been leaving great comments on multiple episodes, which is cool to see. I want to say thank you to Stephanie, as well as all of our fans, especially those who have been leaving comments on YouTube. We've been having a lot of great feedback there, some good discourse around the Thrawn trilogy. I want to say Stephanie says she's very late to the party when it comes to Star Wars books, and she had the same Thrawn experience that Jake had, of course, watching him in Rebels, first and foremost, which I think is pretty cool, because there is no right way to be a Star Wars fan, right? There's no perfect way to tackle Star Wars books. All that matters is that you find something you enjoy and enjoy it, right? Just don't dump on things other people like. You can see my light fritzing out in the corner, trying out a new setup tonight, and it's trying to decide if it's going to go all Force Ghost on me. I love the fact that Stephanie says she's a lifelong Star Wars fan. Her mother was 7 years old. There's no way that's true. Okay, yeah. So her mother was 7 years old when the original films came out in theaters, and so she passed on her love to Stephanie when she showed her the original trilogy on VHS. She tells this touching story of pulling out the bed from inside the couch. You know what I'm talking about, Freddie, those beds that are impossibly heavy to move. And that they would spend time together. It's such a heartwarming story. I'm about to shed a tear here. And they would watch the movies together. Long story short, when The Phantom Menace came out, she hated Jar Jar and eventually kind of grew out of Star Wars until recently. You know, she was in a small rural town with no bookstore. And she recently got back into Star Wars with the sequel trilogy with Disney Plus. And through the new canon animated shows, she talks about binge watching everything there was to binge watch, and eventually also getting into Grand Admiral Thrawn through Rebels, and says this incredible quote, Freddie. I love this. All right, she says, which, being perfectly honest, is why I love this channel so much, because I am beyond sick of toxic negativity in the fandom, and it feels so great to have found a place that loves both the old and the new EU and promotes both. I mean, she couldn't have said it better, could she?
No, that's pretty amazing. And that's something that we always stress, right? Like, if we're toxic with something that we love, what the heck are we doing, right? Then we clearly don't love it enough, or we should probably find a new hobby at that point. But yeah, we really appreciate that comment. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're an old Star Wars fan, a new Star Wars fan, or if you're not even a Star Wars fan. And it doesn't matter. It's just about like talking with each other and figuring out, you know, what is it that you don't like about it, and it just that's it. Nothing to fight about there.
Absolutely. Meg, as we get started tonight in the episode, getting into the meat of the thing, I gotta say this. Tonight's episode is entirely inspired by one massive, frustrating Twitter moment in my life. Okay, I'm gonna call Meg out onto the Legends carpet for a second here. I'm also gonna call myself back onto the Legends carpet in a minute, because I'm not blameless in this episode. But Meg, do you remember this? On Saturday, September 18th, we did a fun little Twitter challenge where we were going to describe ourselves as 3 Star Wars characters. Now, Meg, do you remember who your 3 characters were?
I know one of them was Phasma.
Okay, great.
One of them was probably Sabine. I have no idea what the third one was.
Yeah, I don't remember either, but I know for a fact that none of them were Legends characters, not a one. You had 3 chances, and you blew all 3. So, the fact of the matter is, Meg, you've just read more canon books than Legends, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. But there's a lot of awesome ladies in Legends that I'm hoping, on the one hand, we can talk about some people you know, and also introduce you, as well as, who knows, countless others on YouTube, Twitch, the podcast feeds, for ages to come. Who knows how long this episode's going to live in your feeds. Couldn't be more excited about the sci-fi element and the time travel of this whole thing. But tonight we're going to be diving deep into the ladies of Legends. Now, I do have to say, I myself have a confession that I have to make here, okay? That is, Meg, we've embarrassed you for a second. I'm going to embarrass myself, or I'm going to put me in the corner. My confession is this, that it wasn't until just a few years ago that I began to see my own sexism in my fandom. Because my oldest daughter took on an interest in watching Star Wars with me, playing with the toys herself. So we busted out my my long buried in storage Star Wars toys. We pulled out the bucket. We started sorting through them. I'm a loose figure kind of guy. I think I've got 2 that are still packaged, but have like 50, loose figures from mostly 96. My brother and I got into it when he was a kid, from the Clone Wars era, early to mid 2000s. But this is pretty embarrassing. Out of 50-ish figures that I owned, only 2 of them were ladies. Only 2 female characters. I mean, obviously they're just action figures. They're not male or female. They're inanimate objects. But based on these fictional characters, only 2 of them were based on female fictional characters: Asajj Ventress and Bounty Hunter Leia from Return of the Jedi. Great figures and everything. But my daughter was like, "There's no girls in here. I don't want to play with these things." So we went down to our local comic book action figure store. And we picked up a Sabe. We picked up a Sabe. It was Princess Queen Amidala with a gun, with a blaster, because I wanted to have an action figure. And we got a few others. We've got some Ahsokas and some Leias, multiple Leias at this point. But Meg, I want to ask you this: how important is representation in fictional media, specifically in Star Wars?
Extremely. Mostly because we don't talk about it enough, or when we do, there's this conversation that I always end up having, and it always ends up going, we need more representation in Star Wars. And then there always is someone who lists all the characters that seem to fit whatever representation we're talking about. And it's just, there just needs to be more discussion about it, and it just people need to feel seen in the characters that they're seeing. And if you're not seeing yourself in Star Wars, for example, there's something special about seeing yourself.
Sure.
When it happens, it needs to happen more. As kids especially need to feel like they need to have that moment where they're like, that's me on screen. I can do that.
Star Wars is for me.
Things.
Sure,
yeah,
absolutely.
Exactly.
Right. That's one of the things that I was so embarrassed about, was not that I didn't own female figures, but that my daughter was feeling like Star Wars wasn't a property for her, when there weren't characters that she could take out and play with as if she were them. So we hopped in that car and we drove. We've got this awesome comic book store. I don't even know if it's open right now with COVID, but it's got tons of loose Star Wars figures from every era at an affordable price, which is pretty cool. And she loves it when we go there and pick out a new one. We get one for her, we get one for me, we get one for her little sister. It's a whole ordeal. That's probably why I'm so strapped for cash these days. But tonight we're going to be talking about these Star Wars, the Ladies of Legends, our favorite Star Wars characters from the old school EU, specifically talking about three categories. We've got Jedi, we've got villains, and we've got scoundrels. Not in that order, because I got it wrong. Let's start off with the Jedi. Freddie, who we got first?
Yeah, so we've got Lannery Brock. I mean, we're going to have a hard time saying some of these names, at least I am.
Lannery's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, it looks straightforward. Thank goodness. First time. Thanks, Tim Levin. But yeah, appeared in Dawn of the Jedi, Into the Void, and that was 2013. It was a Marvel Legends epic collection with all of the Dawn of the Jedi comics, Tales of the Jedi Volume 1.
It's actually coming out soon.
Yeah, do you want to go ahead? It's coming out soon, yeah. So
some Legends news.
December 8th, right? December 8th?
Yeah, pretty exciting. We're always like, we don't have anything to talk about.
Drop in some Legends news.
And then, we've got some new Legends stuff coming out. And I think this is especially confusing, don't you? Because this volume of the Epic Collection collects exclusively Dawn of the Jedi comics.
Yeah.
But it's called... What is it called? It's called Tales of the Jedi
Tales
Volume
of the Jedi
1.
Volume 1.
But it doesn't contain any of the Tales of the Jedi comics. Which is especially confusing when we add on the third layer, which is the first volume of Tales of the Jedi, is called Knights of the Old Republic.
Why?
Yeah, so that's why when I was reading it, I was like, wait a minute.
Isn't that amazing?
That makes no sense to me.
Yeah, thank you, Star Wars, for going out of order in everything. Making things...
But yeah, she was tall. She was strong. I'm pretty sure she had like a leather sheath made out of what was it?
What's it called here?
It was like a screech lizard. Skin of
The
a screech
skin of a
lizard.
screech lizard. I mean, if that's not some old school legends, I don't know what is. I mean, it's old school continuity wise, because this is set, what,
Yeah.
10,000 years before A New Hope? This is literally the dawn of the Jedi, as old school as it could possibly get. This was a really creative era in Star Wars storytelling because they, at this point, were exploring some really interesting areas, both backwards and forwards on the timeline. During the same era, the late Legends era, you've got the Dawn of the Jedi, you've got Lost Tribe of the Sith, you've also got the Legacy comics coming out, which are set, 100, 200 years after Return of the Jedi. She's definitely a cool character, especially a woman of color being the protagonist in a book is really interesting because that's something that's just incredibly rare in Legends, and I'm glad we've seen more inclusivity. Inclusion or inclusivity? What's the right word, Meg?
Meg, that's your
We
court.
got my editor on the show this week.
Yeah, inclusion. Just keep it simple.
Yeah, and I like that Eric says, let's normalize tall women. That's right, Lannery Brock.
There
In case
you go.
Can't tell, she's 6 feet tall, and her story specifically is told in Dawn of the Jedi, Into the Void, which I happen to have right here. And hey, if you get the hardback of this, please just send it to my address in Leominster, Massachusetts, because that sucker is hard to find. Second on the list, Meg, who we got? Oh, that's all right. Yeah, Basta Lashan. Meg, have you played KOTOR?
Okay, I have a
Shan?
confession to
Wait,
make.
you don't say Shan, Freddie? You say
Sean.
Sean.
I
like
say
Sean-
Sean.
like Sean
See,
Hunter.
I would have
Bastila
said it wrong.
Sean.
I would have said it wrong too. Are you happy now?
It's 2-on-1, Freddie. All right.
It's 2-on-1.
One
yeah.
in the chat for Shan, 2 in the chat for Sean. All right, Shaun of the Dead, or is it you shan't pass? All right, I don't know. Meg, have you never played KOTOR?
I have. I never finished the first game.
It's
I played
long.
the second. I played the second game first. I played that one at least 20 times.
Yeah.
I've never finished the first game. I'm sorry. I'm getting to it eventually. I'm sorry.
It's all right, Meg. It's all right. This episode is not about embarrassing Meg. Everybody say it with me. This episode's not about.
Are you sure about
No.
that?
Bastila Shan, of course, she first appeared in KOTOR. She also makes some mild appearances in Old Republic Revan, which we talked about
Yeah,
with our bud
she does.
Patrick. But as we talked about in that episode, I don't think that book really did her justice.
She's also in Star Wars: The Old Republic.
Okay, and her descendant, not what is she, granddaughter, Satele Shan becomes the Grand Master of the Jedi Order, something like that.
Yeah.
I gotta admit, haven't finished that one, so we're equal in this, Meg. She's known specifically for wielding the double-bladed yellow lightsaber. She was the Jedi who pretty much single-handedly-ish, depending on how you look at it, took down Darth Revan himself in hand-to-hand combat, which is pretty awesome. Then
She was badass, man.
Yeah, then, of
I'm
course,
sorry.
she
I can't get over her.
yeah, Freddie's got a crush. I can see his cheeks turning red over there. She spent. Oh, I need to switch to the right scene. I've got pictures of all these characters, which is cool. I remember that Bastila was super zoomed in, which is, it's like she's right here with us on the Zoom chat. There we go. Bastila is known not just for her lightsaber or her skills in hand-to-hand combat, but, of course, for basically pedantically pestering Revan all the way through their adventures and then falling in love with him, as one does. I remember on our Revan episode, Cheryl said, friends to enemies to lovers. Actually, it's enemies to... No, it's co-workers to... mortal enemies to I almost killed you but saved your life instead and then took you to get your
I love
mind
you.
wiped, to friends, to enemies, to lovers, right?
Yep. It's an amazing story.
But specifically,
Fantastic.
as a character, she is defined for her rare and uber powerful force power. Meg, why is battle meditation the most ridiculous force power in all of Legends?
I mean, you can just control everything. It seems like, you have a lot more power than I feel like anyone ever should.
Yeah. Battle meditation, the idea is you sit calmly on your ship and control the forces of the battle so as to influence the outcome.
The crazy thing is, it's so prevalent in Legends that
It doesn't
I'm
seem
pretty
all that
sure
rare.
We've covered it.
Yeah.
We've covered it like 3 times already.
Yeah, I know. It comes up a lot. Yeah, there's going to be some spoilers in this episode. We're going to do our best to give spoiler warnings. Totally didn't give one there. You're going to be all right. The game came out in 2004. It's one of the most critically acclaimed video games of all time. So, sorry, not sorry, Wes. And Cheryl says, Legends, am I right? Absolutely. Absolutely. Freddie, you have an interesting tidbit about Bastila here. You want to take this one?
Yeah, so I'm really into the collection, the toys, the art, and so there was, I believe in 2006, there was a poll of some sort, and she actually was selected as the fan choice winner in 2009 for Hasbro at the Toy Fair, which is pretty fascinating.
Yeah.
I mean, for such a, in my opinion, not everybody knows about her. But I feel like Star Wars fans that are not everyone's a true Star Wars fan that likes Star Wars. I don't care who you are,
right.
But someone who's like truly into EU, or not even just EU, but just knows about it, knows about her, and it's crazy because it's just the video games.
I like that Freddie's trying to dig himself out of this terminology hole he's digging himself into. But no, yeah, she's a very notorious character, and rightly so. And I appreciate that. And hey, if you don't know much about Bastila, that's all right, because I'm sure you're bound to know at least about one cool character here. And we're going to be closing out the show by saying which of these characters we've talked about are you interested in learning more about? And I myself, at the end of this, writing the show notes, was like, I would love to know more about a couple of these characters in particular that honestly my knowledge is just really lacking of. Third on the list, Meg, you want to take this one?
My show notes have disappeared.
Okay, no problem. I'll send you a new copy. Third on the list comes from the John Jackson Miller masterpiece. I don't know if it's a masterpiece, but it's a good book called Knight Errant. This book, of course, came out, trying to see if I pulled it off the shelf. Yeah, came out late in the Legends era, 2011, I believe. That's all about Kara Holt, Jedi Knight, who basically is a really interesting story because she's kind of single-handedly taking on two warring Sith Lord twin brothers. Because if there's one thing to be said about Legends, it's that you've got to have a woman to step in a war between two brothers. Am I right, Freddie?
Legends reminds me of Jared. Just so extra.
Okay. Yeah.
In a good way, though. In a good way.
Yeah, and these brothers, they've got like these opposite personalities, Damien and Odian. It's like some of the most mythical, almost like Greek mythology Star Wars that's ever been written. But she's a really cool character because specifically her journey is defined by the fact that one of these Sith Lords bombed and destroyed her home planet, went all Alderaan on it. And then her entire journey as a Jedi is motivated by her quest for vengeance, which is not something that we see very often. Freddie, normally it's the dude bros with their broody rage issues,
super broody,
that we see struggling with this pull to the dark. Why is it interesting to have a female character questing for vengeance and trying to come to terms with how to be a Jedi without being obsessed with taking vengeance into her own hands?
It's so interesting because she actually reminds me a lot of Phasma because she is just completely a warrior in every sense. Like she was made to battle, and she was I mean, if she was a martial artist, for sure, right? She knew all of the martial arts probably before it was even really a thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's fascinating.
Her story is interesting because from a media standpoint, it's told in a prose novel and in a series of comics, in the Knight Errant comics that John Jackson Miller also wrote. I mean, if you just go to her Wikipedia page, or as I like to call it,
it's so long.
It's incredibly long and detailed. And I will tell you this, it's easier to just read the source material. It's easier to just read the books and the comics with her than it is to try to read her her page.
Well, I just want to say I've been trying to find like bullet points from her, and I'm still scrolling since we started talking about her, and I'm still going.
Awesome. Meg, do you want to chime in on her, this journey of having a female character who is trying to take vengeance into her own hands? That's something that's kind of rare to see with a feminine Star Wars character, isn't it?
Yeah, and I'm really glad that you made the Phasma connection because I sure didn't, and now I'm super interested in this character.
Yeah.
Did somebody say Phasma?
Someone did, and it was me. It is rare, especially in Legends, that you have a female character that is just so angry and this warrior and is using her anger to accomplish this really dark thing, and like more of that in canon, more of that just everywhere, please.
Yeah. One of the things
I agree.
One of the things that's problematic about women in Legends often is they're introduced as a romantic interest. Her story is distinctly anything but that, and I love it for that. The later Legends was figuring this out a little bit better, and I appreciate it for it.
Yeah.
And okay, Cheryl makes a good point. Yeah.
Cheryl. Yeah, I was gonna say Mara Jade for sure. She is in the same tier in my opinion as Kara and Phasma. Just that strong, super independent, super capable mentality.
Yeah. Good. I appreciate that you said that. Thank you for saying that, Cheryl. Where would we be if it weren't for Cheryl? Am I right? Next on the list, we're still in the Old Republic era here with our Jedi. We've got Nomi Sunrider. I got to tell you, finding a picture of Nomi Sunrider that wasn't showcasing the front half of her bald head was difficult because it was an interesting stylistic choice that the front half of her head would be bald, but it has, it's her species, whatever. Now, tell me about Nomi Sunrider, Meg. What do we know about Nomi?
She's the one. No, I spent a lot of time reading these. I got it. She's the one who basically took over, right? And I think she took over and was like,
yeah, after her husband died.
Yeah, like the guy just like couldn't do it, so she did it all.
Yeah, absolutely. The interesting thing is that she's constantly paired with these uber powerful, like legendary male Jedis who are terrible at being Jedis. They're either dying, getting injured, getting their arms cut off, or falling to the dark side. And so she's always stepping in and having to save them, which is really interesting in Star Wars. Freddie, that's one of the things that defines women in Star Wars and has since the very beginning, isn't it? That's what Leia does, right?
Yeah, I mean, so that's the thing is George Lucas made this for kids, right? He didn't make it for boys. He didn't make it for girls. He made it for kids, and he wanted to have the best representation of as many people as he could in his stories. Before its time, in my opinion, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. One of the things that's especially interesting about her is she doesn't even know that she has Force abilities until her husband dies. Her husband, who's a Jedi, which is a Legends thing, especially old school Legends. They didn't have George's, extensive rules about what it took to be, a Jedi. It was before the prequels were ever made, everybody. And one of the things that's especially interesting is her husband is cut down by some street thugs. He's that good of a Jedi, everybody. He's just taken out by run-of-the-mill street thugs. And then she feels the Force call her to be a Jedi when she picks up her husband's lightsaber, goes and is trained by a four-legged beast rhino Jedi master. It's a wild,
such an odd story,
absolute wild story. And by the time her story in Tales of the Jedi Redemption, the last volume, she's the Grand Master of the Jedi Order, which is really cool to see way back in the old school Legends stories. I mean, we're talking about the first story ever published by Dark Horse outside of Dark Empire, being written synonymously with Dark Empire. The amazing thing is we've got a female Grand Master of the Jedi Order. You want to speak to that for a second, Freddie? How interesting is it that right out of the gate, when it comes to creating a Legends character who's not a part of the original trilogy, you're creating an original character for the first time. One of the very first ones that you choose to make a protagonist is a female Jedi.
Yeah, it was such an interesting story, and the art is fantastic. It's so different, in my opinion. And we were, this was like one of the first things I think we talked about it in the podcast. But she's strong, and it's funny how late in the game she came, right? And she's just trying to learn these things as an adult, and even more adult than Luke, in my opinion, right?
Right.
And I feel so bad for her husband. Just, oh man.
Yeah, I mean, she's already
what was
got
that about?
She's already got a child when she becomes a Jedi for the first time, right? They're like on vacation with their like 2-year-old who ends up being a Jedi in a later series, which is interesting.
And her life just propels from there.
Absolutely. So we're talking about some really awesome Jedi of the Old Republic. We've been in the Old Republic, everybody. We're going to skip a little bit forward in the continuity here for a second, and we're moving forward all the way into the Clone Wars to one of my very favorite Jedis who ever lived, and that is Siri Tachi. Now, if you don't know who Siri is, that's okay, because she comes specifically from the Jude Watson universe of Star Wars books. She's introduced in the Jedi Apprentice books, and then comes up again later in her next series of books, which is shorter than Jedi Apprentice. It's only 10 books long in Jedi Quest.
So short.
And then we've got the third series of books by Jude Watson, the Last of the Jedi, in which Ciri has kind of survived Order 66 and is a bounty hunter because Legends. Am I right? Have you read all of these, Freddie?
No, actually. So these are the ones that I just haven't gotten into, mainly because I started getting into a lot of the comics, and that really consumed a lot of my time at one point. But I was reading this during the show notes, and I was so interested because they actually, I mean, she was a Padawan with a violet lightsaber.
Yeah,
so
pretty
different.
Cool.
Yeah,
absolutely. The interesting thing is, before there was ever the Clone Wars TV show, Ciri is young Obi-Wan's love interest, right? So they start off as classmates at the Jedi Academy, and then before you know it, they're angsty teenagers, and they're falling in love, and at one point he's ready to leave the Jedi Order to be with her forever. A very interesting story. Now, we're gonna ask a difficult question here, and Meg, I already know what your answer is, okay?
Oh.
And we can probably guess what my answer is, and we're going to have to war it out. Freddie can be our mediator. Who's a better match for Obi-Wan, Ciri or Satine? Meg, you want to start us off on the wrong foot?
Satine for sure. It's the right answer.
There's no wrong answer.
Okay, as the mediator, Satine. Why Satine?
Because she's the one I'm more familiar with.
Yeah, nothing wrong with
that. Okay, that's fair. That's totally fair.
What's good about them as a couple, though? Why is Satine a good match?
Because she's her own person already. She doesn't need him. She wants him. I think that makes the difference.
I like that.
Okay, cool. She's a queen in her own right. Totally ruined Mandalore in the eyes of a lot of Legends fans, but I disagree. I think she's great.
I think it happens, right? It's an evolution. People become warriors and they're like, oh, this is exhausting.
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah, she's like, yeah, we're all going to be pacifists now because I'm tired. I'm too old for this. No. She has a different vision on how to bring peace to her planet, and is doing an admirable job if it weren't for all the angsty men who are like, let's make Mandalore great again. Am I right? I kind of got some parallels to real life. Okay, we won't get into that, but I will say what I love so much about Ciri is she's never afraid to call Obi-Wan out for his tomfoolery, because Obi-Wan, though being awesome, is far from perfect. And Ciri is always the one who's like, no, Obi-Wan, you're totally missing the mark on this. She's normally the Jedi who's trying to bring him along in the story. And, I mean, her story takes some wild twists and turns, thinking about her being a Jedi who survives Order 66. I think in Legends she's trained by Depa Billaba. I could be wrong about that.
I thought it was Adi Gallia.
Oh, yeah, that's who it is. Yeah, it
was Adi Gallia.
Yeah, okay, way to rescue me from looking like a total fake Legends fan, Freddie. You got a choice, man? Which one do you prefer?
I'm so partial to Tachi.
It's 2-on-1.
And you know what? I have to say this. I know both pretty well. I consider myself like a super old school fan, but I have to say, man, this is a hard decision. Satine is like really good too. In my opinion, I feel like it could have been both. Different times. I know it just, I don't know. Maybe you fit it in, but
all right. So
it's yeah. Go ahead, buddy.
You and I are both saying Ciri, but I will say, Cheryl in the chat is saying that it's the ladies. It's Meg plus the ladies in the chat who are all saying Satine. She says, listen to all the ladies saying Satine. So if ever there's an episode for us to listen to the ladies in the chat, all right, it's this episode. Plus, I'm a little bit scared of Cheryl. You never know.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Yeah, she's got your back, Meg. Interesting. Feel free, everybody, to chime in the Discord, the YouTube comments. Have you read the old school Jedi Apprentice books? I think I spent all of my lunch money as a kid at the book fairs on these books, because there's a bunch of them that robbing me. Absolutely robbing me. Next up on the list, we're moving into the New Republic. Let's talk about Mara Jade. Now, we've been talking about her in our Heir to the Empire roundtable. And of course, she goes on to basically feature in almost every Legends book in the New Jedi Order, Legacy of the Force era, plus all of Zahn's post Return of the Jedi books. We've been talking about her for a while. We're going to talk about her in many more episodes to come. But something I'd like for us to talk about tonight is which era. Meg, start us off. Which era in Mara Jade's life do you find most compelling, most interesting? Which era are you most interested in exploring at this point in your fandom? Her old school days as the Emperor's Hand. There's a couple of books about that. Her, Thrawn trilogy era where she's kind of displaced and on this vengeful quest to kill Luke Skywalker. Or, later on, mild spoilers here. Most people might know this based on the fact that she's got a lightsaber in this image here. She does become a Jedi later on. Which of these three eras? Jedi Mara, Smuggler Mara, or Emperor's Hand Mara?
Definitely Heir to the Empire. Read that recently. Actually, the first books that I read with her in them were when she was still the Emperor's Hand, and I didn't like her that much.
Okay,
maybe just because I didn't. Yeah. I don't know. But the more that I read with her in it, the more that I'm definitely into her story, and I really want to keep going. And at this point, I know everything. I know the bullet points of what happens to her.
Okay.
Okay,
I see how it is.
Not everything. Most things.
You heard it here first, folks.
Okay.
No. I get the point. There's a lot of these Legends characters that you don't know much about at all, and there's others that hey, you get it.
Yeah, no, so I will eventually get to more of her story as I get into more of Legends Beyond Heir to the Empire, and I'm looking forward to it because she's
I'm so excited.
Yeah, she's a really cool character, and even before, aside from her relationship with Luke Skywalker, I'm just curious to know all the things I don't know, because apparently I don't know everything. Sorry.
Ready?
Meg, I absolutely love when people don't know everything about Legends, and then we talk about it and we get into it, and they're like, "Oh man, that's really interesting. Let me just check it out." And I cannot wait for you to read the Smuggler Thrawn era.
Yeah.
Just get to know her a little bit, because she's so. You just see how capable she is, and in the way of Han Solo mixed with if Phasma was more chilled out kind of person, and it's so fascinating.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep saying Phasma because I know you love her, but she's also her character is very strong in my opinion. I feel like she's a really good reference point of how to gauge people. So
for me, I'm gonna answer with Jedi Mara. I like especially the way that she mentors some of the younger Jedi. She doesn't take any gruff from anybody. Not even Luke Skywalker, Grand Master of the New Jedi Order, does not tell her what to do, which is a lot of fun. Because there is this trope that develops a little bit in Legends of the woman has to be rescued, but Mara is never that way, which is a lot of fun. We've got some great answers in the chat here. Let's see what we've got. Mara Jade. Juliana says that she likes the New Jedi Order era Mara, which is cool. Cheryl says original Thrawn trilogy and Vision of the Future. Jedi Mara is from Juliana. Cheryl's giving 5 answers to say the same thing. Pre-Jedi Mara, Emperor's Hand. She's got a lot to say about Mara Jade, apparently, which is a lot of fun. So Smuggler Mara, she's my favorite, in all caps, she says, which is cool. Rob says she's well, I'm not going to read Rob's comment. Sorry. Rob says she's awesome. All right, we'll put it that way. Moving on in our list, Freddie, who we got next?
Yeah, so let's see here. I was literally looking at pictures of Mara Jade right now.
Uh-oh.
Sorry, guys.
Perfectly appropriate pictures, everybody.
Yeah, she's
Gaze into the gullet on the screen. We're talking about Jaina Solo. Another very infamous Legends Jedi. Definitely one of the most developed characters in all of the EU. Somebody who goes from being introduced as a child, basically an unborn child in the original Thrawn trilogy, which is pretty hilarious, and then goes on to basically single-handedly assassinate a Sith Lord. She's the Sword of the Jedi. She's trained by Boba Fett, for crying out loud. She flew with Rogue Squadron. She has one of the most interesting love triangles in all of Legends. She's trained by bad boy, genocidal Jedi Kip Duron. She was hit on and almost proposed to-ish by Prince Fabio. What was his name? Prince Isolder of Dathomir.
Isolder.
I put the joke in the notes and forgot to put the actual name in the notes, which is funny. Does that about sum up Jaina Solo for you, Freddie?
Yeah, she's the first person that we follow the entire life cycle of in Legends, because there's no person we got to with like the inception, right? Like you said it. We got to know her as a fetus. To put it, we follow her from there all the way to further on, which we won't give any spoilers, but unless you want to.
Well, a mild spoiler is this. All right, 1 minute, everybody. If you've never read any of the New Jedi Order or Legacy of the Force, one mild spoiler is she's probably defined as the only Solo child who doesn't die in Legends, right?
Yeah.
So her story is left open-ended, and I think this is one of the things that has me most torn up. I mean, it's okay. I see a therapist and everything, but how bummed are you, Freddie, that we didn't get Christy Golden's Sword of the Jedi trilogy that was canceled back in 2014?
Yeah, that was such a bummer. I forgot about it. I just deleted it from my brain because I don't want to think about it.
Yeah, I'm resurfacing
Thanks,
old
Jared.
wounds. Yeah.
But I feel like because we didn't, we might get a story of something similar. It might not be Jaina, but I don't know. I have a weird feeling about it. We'll see.
Like a Rey trilogy post Rise of Skywalker, where she's kicking butt and taking names.
I could see that. Yeah.
Okay, that might be the closest we're gonna get. Meg, where's your stance on the fact that we basically got a character here who's the most Legends character who ever was, and never really got her own trilogy of books.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I mean, I guess I feel a little bit better because it was intended to happen. So they were planning on it. So it's not like they were like purposely going to leave her out and not give her that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's disappointing. I mean, there are some things about the Disney acquisition that just didn't work out well.
Yeah, it's impossible to do it seamlessly.
Yeah, but I mean, we got so much of her, and she's such a great character. Like, it almost makes up for it, I feel like.
Yeah, okay, that's a great answer. Look at Meg being positive. Glad to have her on the show. Excellent. Easing us fanboys with the nasty breakups in our life when Legends broke up with us, but we're never letting go. We're never letting go. All right, next on the list from this era is a Jedi who I just recently wrote wrong one. That's not good. I clicked on Tahiri and I got Leia. No! Where'd Tahiri go?
Oh no.
She's around here somewhere. That's Ventress. There's Siri. All right, we're just playing musical chairs at this point. I had a picture, and you're not going to see it. Oh, well. Tahiri Vela is next up. Now, Meg, you edited my collection on this. In the article, I described her as a Tatooinean, Anakin Solo's childhood best friend, barefoot warrior, half-alien Tusken Raider Jedi, broken-hearted lover, tool in multiple galactic wars, and an addict on top of all that. Meg, which of those things sounds the craziest and the most made up to you?
I don't know.
Is it the barefoot thing? It's like, why does she have to be barefoot?
You know what? Probably. I mean, how? I have questions.
Sure. Yeah. The basic idea is that because she was raised on Tatooine, she liked to go barefoot in the sand, and so her entire existence as a Jedi and Sith and Yuuzhan Vong, because she's, mind wiped and fused with a Vong consciousness, which is insane. Is one of the more sci-fi things to ever happen in Legends. The idea is that she just always liked to go barefoot. It's like you can take the girl off of Tatooine, but you can't take the sand out from in between the toes. Isn't that what they say, Freddie? She's
interesting. I always found it really weird because I could see it when you're at the beach, right? You just kind of step in the sand. Feels nice, but everywhere.
It gets everywhere. She's got one of the more up and down story arcs in all of Legends. Tahiri is introduced first in the Junior Jedi Knights books by Kevin J. Anderson and Rebecca Moesta, his partner. They wrote these with the lesser-known scholastic young readers from the post-Return of the Jedi era about Anakin Solo and their ferret Jedi master friend Ikrit, which is a ton of fun. And I know a lot of Legends fans consider these their favorite Star Wars stories, which is awesome. She's reintroduced in Greg Keyes' New Jedi Order Edge of Victory Conquest, where they go back to Yavin 4, which is awesome. I love it. Her story is absolutely heartbreaking, the way that she's abused by certain people in her life and strung along by Jacen, basically just taking advantage of her Force abilities. It really is some of the more heavy-hitting stuff. Meg, as you were learning more about Tahiri, what had you most interested in? What are you most interested in learning about her?
I think just her relationships with who's the one that she was friends with?
Yeah, so she's best friends with Anakin.
Okay, yeah, I was really interested in that because I don't know a lot about him either.
Sure.
But yeah, her whole story is really interesting to me.
Yeah, it really is so incredibly up and down. I know a lot of New Jedi Order fans really love Tahiri and love to hate Tahiri because she makes so many bad decisions along the way, but is, in a really horrifically real world way, is taken advantage of by specifically by Jacen later on in the timeline. I've got some great answers here in the chat. Cheryl says that, well, I'll let you read this one, Freddie. Cheryl,
Are we going with the next one?
No, we're talking about Cheryl's answer is a little bit edgy. I don't want to say it. Anyway,
well,
it's not that it's not all that edgy, but
so I'm pretty sure I thought she walked in the sand, or barefoot because I forget. I think Bro Dameron said it, but I thought it was because everything else was so much colder.
Oh, she doesn't like
right?
walking on hot sand?
Yeah, I can't remember, honestly. I just know it was a very interesting story, and I didn't spend too much time on it. But
I've forgotten the reason why she likes to be barefoot.
Yeah,
all right, we're gonna have to go back and
totally
reread the
forgot,
books.
yeah.
Let's be honest.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. So Juliana says she loves to hate Tahiri. That might be true. Might be true for other people. Next on the list, I think, is one of the more interesting characters we can talk about tonight, and that is Legends Leia. Meg, you're familiar with Leia. You ever heard of her? Leia Organa.
Once or twice.
Solo, not called Solo in canon, but in Legends, she takes the old last name. She takes on Solo, which is cool. Her Legends story arc is pretty amazing, honestly, because on the one hand, as you see here with this amazing cover art from Dark Empire, she starts off in the Dark Horse comics as kind of following this Jedi path. She single-handedly takes on Darkside Luke and Slimy Palps, which is amazing. But then, after that, in the Thrawn trilogy, you see her showing that she's got an uncomfortable relationship with the lightsaber. Says that it never really felt comfortable to her. In the rest of the Bantam era, that is, anything before the New Jedi Order, she is chief of state of the entire New Republic, follows in Mon Mothma's footsteps in that regard. She specifically is popping in and out of the Young Jedi Knights books, and it's our mom is the president of the galaxy. Deal with it. But that kind of creates an interesting relationship where they don't get to see her a whole lot until later on when they're adults and kind of work side by side with her. Meg, which character arc for Leia do you prefer for her character? Her training to be a Jedi or her specializing in politics?
I just think she's so much better suited for the political side. When I was reading, I don't remember which book article I was reading earlier, but
it's been a lot of reading.
Well, yeah, it was. But it referred to her as a Jedi Knight, and I was like, oh wait, I'm not used to that. Because I know she had that whole path in Legends, and then she switched gears, but I just think she's so much better at fighting with words and with ideas. I just think that's probably where she would rather be, honestly. And that's, I'm glad that she ended up where she did in canon, for that same reason. I just think that's her place.
That's a great answer. Freddie, what's your choice? I love Leia with a lightsaber. I especially like that she gets her moment to be chief of state for literally 10 years of Star Wars publishing, and then maybe even 15, 20 years it's in the Bug trilogy. What's that one called? The Troy Dennings crazy The Dark Nest. There she's trained by reptilian Jedi Master Saba 17.
Wow.
With her smoker voice. You got to hear Mark Thompson do it. It's better. Believe it or not, Mark Thompson does a better job with the reptile Jedi than I do. But it's a lot of fun. She has this rivalry with one-armed, crazed dark side Jedi Ali Marar. At one point, they have a battle on top of a moving spaceship. For real. It's awesome. All right, so I like that. It's like Legends, you get the best of both worlds with Leia. What's your choice, though, Freddie? Lightsaber or policy?
Policy, 100%.
Okay. All right, I'm outnumbered. That's okay.
I say that because I enjoy learning that she had that side of her, but that was kind of outside of her character, right? I mean, she didn't really want to fight, but when she had to, she did. She was not afraid of fighting, period.
Yeah.
But I feel like she, if we were to see battle meditation in canon, it would most likely be her, because it's the most non-violent thing a Jedi can kind of do, right? Because you're not really, I mean, you're kind of influencing everybody, but she's not fighting, right? It's still politics, it seems like.
Yeah. I like the way that Zahn writes this, that it's not that she doesn't intend on becoming a Jedi, it's that she never feels comfortable with the lightsaber, whereas she's been trained since she was, a young adult, a child almost, a preteen, to follow in Bail Organa's footsteps, to influence people and influence policy in order to shape the galaxy, which I like that it shows that that's just as heroic as taking down the entire empire with a laser sword. Am I right? Juliana says, where's Tenel Ka? Juliana, I forgot about Tenel Ka. She's not on the list. She's going in the honorable mentions section. I just wrote her down. So my apologies. I promise you, we will talk about Tenel Ka. She's an incredible character. One of the Solo twins' best buds on the Jedi Academy on Yavin 4. Ends up being one of the early Jedi Knights alongside Jason and Jaina in the New Jedi Order. Goes on to become Queen Mother of Hapes, or Hapes, if you like to say it like that. You say Hapes or Hapes, Meg?
I don't ever say it. I don't know.
Well, in case you're wondering, Meg now says Hapes.
Sure.
It's just more fun to say, isn't it?
Hapes.
So, yeah, Juliana, Jared is canceled, is what Cheryl says. That's all right. Heartbreak emoji from Juliana. It happened. Hey, we've got a lot of people that we've written down here. We haven't even made it out of the Jedi yet.
Oh, man.
Let me ask you this, though. I've got another confession to make. I went down a deep, dark Reddit rabbit hole, okay? It happens from time to time. F's in the chat from the Reddit rabbit hole, okay?
No.
It was about sexism in the writing of some of the key Legends authors. I won't call anybody out, but here's the exact quote from some random dude on Reddit. He says, there are 0 Imperials in the films, 0 female Imperials in the films, and the old EU established the Empire as deeply sexist, on top of being humanocentric. So this, while not being a thread I would ever recommend anybody ever for any reason looking up, I think he kind of makes a good point. Meg, do you think that this is more the lack of female Imperials in the original trilogy because of real-world sexism in the casting in the 1970s? Or do you think that GL was trying to make a point about how the rebellion is essentially led by 2 women in Mon Mothma and Leia, whereas there's no prominent female Imperials in Legends, in the original trilogy? Do you think it's more in-universe or real-world?
That's a really good question. You know what? Let's say it's in-universe. Let's say that he was trying to make a point and that, the Empire is evil in more than just the fact that they destroy planets,
Yeah. They destroy planets, but they also are just mean to women. Right,
yeah.
Which is just as horrific. You can keep people alive and mistreat them, or you can just straight up blow their planet up. Either way, it's villainous. I've always loved this about the New Republic, that it's led by women. Until pretty late in Legends, And it even then, Saba 17 becomes Grand Master of the Jedi Order, so it's pretty well balanced, which is cool. Mon Mothma and Leia, just incredible female leaders. It's amazing that in our real world history, we've been a nation for, over 200 years and have never had a female president. Whereas a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, the rebellion was led by women. And it's about time that
It's all over, man.
It's about time that we got on board with that, am I right?
Yeah.
I'm about to get on a political soapbox. We don't want that, but I do think that we've got some incredible Legends female Jedi, but not just Jedi. Now, we don't have a ton of time to talk about this, but Freddie, let's talk about the scoundrels, our lady scoundrels. I would say out of Winter, Iella, and Mirax, right, all from the, I think Zahn introduces Winter, doesn't he? But then they all three figure prominently in the X-Wing series. Who's your favorite female rogue?
Oh man, this one's hard. I would say Winter is an absolute. I mean, she's so skilled. Everything, anything, everything. Leia's bodyguard, and then you've got my other favorite, Mirax, the smuggler. Right, she's just the super capable smuggler, helping the group out. Heart of Gold, super honorable. Both of them are just so good. I love both of them in their own way.
Yeah.
It's like one Mission Impossible.
It's hard to play favorites.
Yeah.
What I especially don't love is the plot of iJedi when Mirax is kidnapped. And you guys talked about this on Lightspeed Skipping without me.
Sure did.
Which was crazy. But I love that you guys brought up the fact that when Mirax is kidnapped, Corrin's like, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to school. So he goes off to boarding school to the Jedi Academy, which is just ridiculous. He's like, yeah, she'll be fine, probably for months, maybe years. I gotta finish my school. Now's as good a time as ever. And then he goes full Legends Batman in order to rescue her, which is so incredibly extra. I've heard that Corey loves that part though. So
Mirax Horn.
So Meg, out of these three, you got a favorite? Winter, Iella, Mirax?
Oh, Winter's the one I'm most familiar with.
Cool.
I know I keep saying that, but
That's good.
she's
That's
pretty
fine.
cool though. Yeah, and I've read actually a lot with her in it, so I like her a lot.
Yeah, she factors into a surprisingly random number of Legends books. She comes up. I love the way that she's played in Scoundrels by Timothy Zahn, one of my absolute favorites. Just massively wacky. It's just a wild ride all around, and in its subterfuge, and she's able to, on the one hand, impersonate Leia, but on the other hand, she's just like friends with all the rogues, so she fits in with that crew really well, not just with Leia. She's not like following her to the bathroom or the refresher. She's actually got her own crew of friends, which is a lot of fun. You like Scoundrels, Rob? Rob says Scoundrels, or maybe he's saying he doesn't like Scoundrels. He's surprised that I like it. Anyway, Solo's 11, Ocean's 11. Excellent Legends book. One of my favorites. Winter's got a great role in that. So we love our lady rogues, but we also love our lady villains in Legends. While Kanan went on to give us a really redemptive, heartbreaking, and also heartwarming, kind of both, story arc when it came to Asajj Ventress. She was introduced first in Legends, and I will never let you forget it, okay? Freddie, what was your initial impression of Asajj Ventress back when she was introduced in Genndy Tartakovsky's Clone Wars? Pretty wild, wasn't it?
Oh, man. I was going to say that's where I know a majority of Clone Wars characters is from Genndy, who really told the beginning stories of everything, right? Like, Grievous, the reason why he's always coughing, right? You don't really know that unless you've seen that, and a lot of things, it seems like they took it, and I don't know why they just stopped thinking about it. But she was so insane looking in that series.
Yeah.
Scary.
She's kind of introduced by George Lucas as like a vampiric character. He wanted her to be like a vampire wielding red lightsabers. The idea is that Dooku is not technically breaking the rule of two. She's like an assassin. She's not actually a Sith. Meg, how do you think, what was your initial impression? I'll ask you this first. What was your initial impression of Asajj Ventress? Did you watch the Tartakovsky stuff?
I did as it was airing, and I just remember loving
way back
her.
in the day. See, look at Meg with her Legends cred.
Yeah, I have something.
That's awesome.
I don't remember much, but she's like one of the things that I remember the most about it. That's how much I just thought it must have been for me, like, they introduced not only another villain but a female villain, which you don't get.
Yeah.
You hadn't gotten in Star Wars a lot at that point. So to me, I was like, this is so cool. She's so bad, and I love her.
Yeah, awesome.
She was intense.
I hated her. Absolutely hated her at first.
No.
Because she had this, like, I'm just gonna assassinate everybody. Nah, it was terrible. Somebody do it better.
Sounds like Watto.
Somebody in the chat. It was, oh, Andy, only credit. All right, no, Eric told
That
me
was
not.
good,
Eric
buddy.
told me not to do that impression one time. Oops, sorry, Eric. Hopefully he's not here anymore. I mean, Eric, I love you. I hope you were with us in the chat. Anyway, she is. I liked where she goes eventually, and I'd like to think that Legends would have gotten there too. But I like that she is eventually treated not like a vampire, who's mistreated and abused by the men in her life, which is her story, and it mirrors a lot of female fans' story. I think that eventually she's treated like a human instead of like a monster, right? Meg, have you read Dark Disciple?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we won't spoil it, but we will say that there we really find that it humanizes her, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. It puts her in a spotlight where you kind of experience her emotions, and you realize that she's thinking a lot of things, and she definitely feels, and it's interesting. It gives her a really good light, and I like that. I like it a lot.
And that's one of the things that's pretty cool about Legends. You can have a character who's introduced as like a one-note villain who then eventually has a lot more to be told in their story. Two people in particular who fit that bill would be these female villains of the Bantam era. We're talking specifically about Natasi Dala and, as you like to say it, you say Ysain? Isard?
Ysain.
Admiral
Yep.
Isard?
Ysain Isard.
Yeah, Ysain.
Ysain
I say
Isard.
Yasani. And so here I've got a picture from what's that book that we love so much? The Guide to the Expanded Universe by Pablo Hidalgo.
Yeah.
This is one of the illustrations from that of let's see, Natasi Dala. Making sure I've got the right Legends villain here. She
No
comes
force
up.
powers.
She's introduced first in the Jedi Academy trilogy by Kevin J. Anderson, but then is reintroduced amazingly much later in the timeline. I forget if it's in Legacy of the Force or Fate of the Jedi. It's in one of those, which is a lot of fun. And so, Freddie, if you were going to choose, which of these was the most likely to actually revive the Empire? Who would you pick in your dodgeball game of taking over the galaxy?
Dala or Isard. I would say Isard, man.
She's definitely more insane.
She's insane. She's scary. I feel like she could do it.
More of a loose cannon.
Absolute loose cannon, but for the same cause. Like, she doesn't waver. She knows what she wants. She knows what she's going for.
I mean, any woman that can be Palpatine's lover. I mean, it's gotta be. Or is she Tarkin's lover? I forget. Oh well.
It was Palpatine. She was with him all the time.
Yeah.
Vengeful.
I mean, you gotta have some crazy political machinations to be able to maneuver that way. And so what I like especially about Dala is that she basically is just sequestered herself in the Maw to basically start this cell of the Empire that's just ready and hanging in the wings, basically building another Death Star, which is a lot of fun. You gotta love Legends super weapons, right? But if you think about it, in the Bantam era, post Return of the Jedi. Between Return of the Jedi and New Jedi Order, 2 out of the 4 major Imperials, Natasi Dala, Ysan Isard, Grand Admiral Thrawn, and Warlord Zinj, those are the 4 major ones. 2 out of the 4 are women, which is a lot of fun. Meg, who do you love to hate more?
Oh, I have to choose.
You don't have to.
I mean...
Spin the wheel.
Why do you hate both of them?
I
love to hate both of them.
I maybe just because you're supposed to. I mean, they're written in a way where it's like, I mean, this character is just...
Yeah, you're supposed to hate them.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What's amazing is there's a scene. Did you listen to this episode of Legends Look Back? One of the X-Wing books, I think it's the second one, ends with Cornhorn strapped naked in a chair being interrogated by Ysain Isard. I mean, if that's not the most Utini thing that ever happened, I don't know what is. And one final Legends villain for us to talk about is Lumaya, the Dark Lady of the Sith herself. She's got definitely one of the wildest character arcs in all of Star Wars publishing in a real world sense, because she first came up. Do you know where she first appeared, Freddie?
Where did she first appear? I mean, I know who I know her as at first, which was a GF girlfriend.
Oh yeah,
I don't know if we want to get into spoilers.
She's one of Luke's girlfriends.
Yeah,
and she's the Dark Lady of the Sith. How do you? I don't want to get into it. But she comes up in the original Marvel comics. You're more into those than I am, aren't you, Freddie?
Yeah, she comes up in those. So she was the Sith mentor of Jason, I believe, Jason Solo in the comics, and I mean, she's just wild. She's all over the place. She had a lightsaber whip.
Yeah, I had to cut it out in order to fit her into the frame. Yeah, she's got a light whip. She's good at wrapping it around other people's lightsabers and yanking them out of their hands.
Yeah, she was crazy. She's
Juliana in the chat says she hates her with a lot of exclamation points. So I wonder what. Oh, it's Lumaya. Am I saying it wrong? Lumaya. Yeah, that's right.
Lumaya.
Thank you for.
Lumia.
What have I been saying?
Lumia.
Luminara. I don't know. Yeah, Lumaya is how I say it. It's crazy because she's introduced in the Marvel comics, and then they needed a villain in Legacy of the Force. So the behind the scenes story is they were like, who can we bring back? Something cool, kind of old school. And they found the Dark Lady of the Sith, one of Luke's Legends girlfriends. One of my favorite things for us to talk about.
All of his girlfriends.
If you're Luke Skywalker, Meg, what do you like the most about Lumaya? Her light whip or her turban?
Gotta go with the whip.
You're not a turban girl?
I mean, I've never thought in detail about it.
Oh my goodness!
It was so. It was like it wasn't just a turban. It was almost like an assassin mask and a turban. It was just like
it's both, huh?
Yeah.
Hey, if ever there's a good time to have a mask that's also a turban, it's 2020. Especially now that we're getting into winter. She's rocking it. Hey, she was prepared for the pandemic before any of us. Just like Lumaya made a comeback, her turban mask should also make a comeback. All right, we're moving into the honorable mentions. We've been talking in detail about all of these characters. We are just going to give quick shout-outs to some other incredible ladies of legends. We're not going to have as much time to talk about them, but we first want to give Skooma Joe's shout-out. He wanted us to talk about Jerael. Jeriel? How do you say it? Jerael Mays? That sounds right to me. Anyway, from the John Jackson Miller Knights of the Old Republic comics, which I gotta say, I'm halfway through those, and I have not really connected with her. So maybe Skooma Joe, there'll be something about her that stands out to me before I'm done, and I'll join you in the fanboy camp there. Juliana wants us to talk about Tenno Ka. We at least mentioned her. Mission Val. Freddie, you're our big KOTOR fan. Do you know, here's a fun Legends trivia fact for you. Do you know who does the voice of Mission Val?
No, I don't. Who does it?
Do you know this one, Meg?
Catherine Tabor.
Yeah. Oh, she's
Is it really
showing you
Catherine
up.
Tabor?
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, Padme Amidala herself.
Fascinating.
Also plays Princess Leia in some properties. But she first got her introduction to Star Wars by playing Mission Vale, which is cool. She's, the scrappy teenage Twi'lek from the sewers of Terrace and KOTOR who loves hanging out with her Wookiee buddy Zalbar and saving Jedi guerrilla warrior turned Sith Lord turned Jedi savior Revan from the rat ghoul disease, which is just amazing.
Rat ghouls.
Yeah.
I want to be a rat ghoul for Halloween.
That would be awesome. That would be a cosplay I did not see coming. Here's one that you might know, Meg. How about on the honorable mention list, we've got Etain Termacon.
Mm-hmm.
You remember where she's from?
Yeah, the Old Republic. Nope.
You're
That's
close.
not it.
You're close. The episode's almost over. You got this, Meg.
Republic Commando. There we go. Yeah?
There we go.
Yeah?
Republic
Okay.
Commando books. Her thing is, she gets disillusioned with the Clone Wars and basically joins the Mandalorians, which is cool. And we won't say anything else about Etain. Nothing at all. Okay. Next on the list, Freddie, is Tion oh, come on. We got this. Episode's almost
Salusar.
over. Salusar. Right. What do you know about Tion, Freddie? She's basically, a Jedi who doesn't prefer swinging the lightsaber, but reading her books, right?
Yes.
Did we lose Freddie? Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Freddie's frozen. He'll be back. Meg, as somebody who's got a lot of books behind her, I feel like you can relate. All right, let me tell you about Tion. She is a Jedi historian. She ends up being successor to Luke as the headmaster of the Jedi Academy on Yavin 4. How cool is it that one of the first established post-Return of the Jedi Legends Jedi, I don't know how many times I just said Jedi, it was a lot. One of the first Jedi established in Legends, continuity-wise, isn't really all that much into Force combat and lightsabers. She mostly just wants to read books. Isn't that awesome?
Amazing.
I'm back, guys.
Love it.
Okay, well, we'll see if we can reboot your video here. We can at least hear Freddie. Freddie, Tion Solusar. How cool is it that one of the first Legends ladies isn't really into combat, but mostly
she was
just
into the
likes
texts,
Jedi
the
history?
tomes.
The sacred Jedi texts!
Yeah, it's so cool. I mean, it's cool to think about it, right? I mean, we hear about it all the time, but to think that someone actually read these texts, that's pretty fascinating.
Yeah, she basically, it was Kevin J. Anderson's way of like weaving in the Tales of the Jedi comics into the Jedi Academy books, where Tion Solusar would like have everybody come around and she would start to tell them about Nomi Sunrider, and it's like the most egregious product placement ever to go and buy his comics. But I kind of like that, her thing is like, hey, we've got this new mix of Jedi. There's like a dozen who were first introduced in Legends in Luke's Jedi Academy in that first class. One of them, Silgal, is a Mon Calamari healer, and Tion is like, she's a historian. So it's like it's not all Corran Horns, am I right? I mean, we got plenty of Corran Horn, but he's not the only one. We've talked about Silgal. Who else is on the list? I like Scout from Yoda Dark Rendezvous. Meg, do you remember her from Imperial Commando 501st?
A little bit, yeah.
Her whole thing is that she's actually not all that powerful with the Force, but she just keeps getting dragged along on these adventures and then ends up accidentally surviving Order 66 because the Force has a will of its own. And it looks like I'm the last person standing. Freddie's gone and Meg is glitching. And
oh no.
We're almost there. Who else do you want to give an honorable mention shout out to?
Freddie? Gariel Captison. I'm going Teresa Bakura, buddy.
There we go. A great lady of Legends. Honestly, I'd forgotten about her until you said her name.
Yeah, I'm glad you did, because I was like, I'm going to say it. This is mine. My favorite book.
Good. Awesome. Bro Dameron says Scout rules. He likes Scout, which is cool. As I try to reboot everybody's videos here, which is fun. I've got several more in the list, several others who are totally worthy of a shout out. I especially like Anya Solo, the protagonist of Dark Horse's second volume of the Legacy comics, which began in 2013. Another one of these properties that was ended prematurely. This one ended prematurely after 18 issues, whereas the first volume of Legacy got 50, maybe 55 issues. And, Disney blew it up like it was Alderaan. But 18 issues, there's plenty to sink your teeth into there. Freddie, have you read the Legacy comics?
Yeah, I have. It's really interesting. I haven't gotten into it in a long time, but I recently just got the Marvel, I forget what it's called, but I'm so excited to dive back into all of this stuff. It's so fat. It's going to be so much fun.
Awesome. Yeah, I've got to say, out of all the characters you talked about, she's the one that I'd like to learn more about. I've only ever made it through a couple issues and fell off the Legacy wagon, so need to make sure I get back into that. Read the original Legacy series, had not finished the second volume. She's paired up with like a crazed, murderous IG droid, which those are especially relevant these days, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a lot of fun. Meg, we've been talking about a lot of in-universe characters here, okay? A lot of fictional characters who we think are incredibly well-crafted and worth reading about. But, feminine fans are often treated as second-class citizens in the Star Wars fandom. We've been talking about some fictional characters. Let's talk about a real-world issue as it pertains to feminine fans as we wrap up the episode here. In what ways is it an uphill bottom? You heard it here first. An uphill battle to be a feminine fan in Star Wars. And what can we do about it? Give us some kind of a practical tip. How do we address this problem?
So I was thinking about this in the context of like reading books, especially Legends. So a lot of times when you try to make the argument that women aren't treated equally in the fandom, you'll get pushback like, oh yes they are, everyone's welcome. But the second you walk into a book club or something like that, and you either know more about a book than someone else, or you get one detail wrong, you're immediately made to not feel welcome.
Yeah.
And that's not fun. So honestly, just let women love the Star Wars that they want to love. Like, it seems it's not complicated.
Yeah.
It's really not. Like, if we like a certain character, or like we don't know a lot about something but we want to know more, like let us just like learn and be excited and love Star Wars. That's super important, and we don't talk about it enough.
Yeah, I agree. One of the reasons I wanted us to talk about the Ladies of Legends is I think one of the biggest pieces of ammo that's often wielded against women who are saying like, hey, we're treated like trash in this fandom, we're treated like second-class citizens, as the most generous way of putting it, and often being tested with fandom knowledge. It's like the classic Name 5 Robins scenario in comics fandom is like, you've got to prove your worth. One of the biggest piece of ammunition that's often brought up is, well, there were plenty of awesome Jedi, awesome ladies in Legends. Mm-hmm. The point of tonight's show is not to say now you've got more people in your ammo belt. Are there ammo belts? What do you call those things? Utility belt. There we go. Your Batman belt. In order to make women feel like their opinion is invalid. Is that making any sense, Meg?
Oh, absolutely.
Freddie, you want to chime in on this one?
Well, it's interesting because my sister really likes Star Wars because of me, right? Because I was a hardcore fan my entire life. But, my mom also got us Barbies to play with. So I feel like I've always been into that because of my sister and seeing it from her point of view and getting her excited because I'm excited. And I wish more people could experience that. But I feel good because I feel like that's getting talked about now, right? Like, people are starting to think about it, starting to talk about it and voice it. And people are like, oh, I didn't know it was like that, right? I had no idea. Like, but yeah, let's talk, let's chill.
Sure.
Right, that's how I see it. So
yeah, just listen to the opinion and the experience of real fans. Don't try to tell them their opinion is invalid. Woo! I'm getting fired up. All right. Sorry to my editor, which is me, for blowing the limits on that one. All right, we've got some great answers in the chat. Let us know, who's your favorite Lady of Legends? Is there somebody that we've left out? Please let us know. Meg is your favorite Lady of Legends?
She's the Queen of Legends.
The Queen of Legends, absolutely. Couldn't be more excited to have you with us on this episode. We've got some great answers in the chat. Bro Dameron said he loves Scout. Juliana says she loves Danny Quee from the New Jedi Order. She features pretty prominently in Vector Prime by Leominster resident himself, R.A. Salvatore. His friends call him Bobby. One of these days, we're going to get him on the show. One of these days. Danny the Scientist is another way of putting it. Yeah, she's cool. There's a Yuuzhan Vong priest. I can't remember her name either, but she's cool. Definitely cool. Great character there. Saba Sabatine. Juliana's got a lot of New Jedi Order Lady Legends love, which is cool.
Don't forget,
got some great agreement in the chat.
Even
what you got,
even the female non-humans, right? We've got some of them in the story as well. We've got I'm specifically thinking about Solo, or Han Solo, his Wookiee almost substitute mother, right? His it was like a mother to him.
Oh, from the book that we read.
The Star Wars one.
What's that one called? Sure. AC Crispin's, I've forgotten her name. Charles is gonna kill me. Half of Utini is. We love. I haven't talked about any of those characters. We've also got what's Han's girlfriend's name in that series? The one that's kind of like Jyn Erso. I'm so close. Bria Theron. Yep. There we go.
How can we?
Which is cool.
So much going on.
She's another amazing Lady of Legends. So glad people are giving those to us as shout outs. Tag and Bink is Wes's answer. I've never read Tag and Bink. Maybe Wes will come on the show one day for us to talk about those. So many incredible answers. Satil Shan from Bro Dameron. Great answers for sure. Freddie, who's your favorite character out of all the characters we've discussed tonight?
This is so hard. I'm going to have to go with the one that I mentioned as my special pick, Gariel Captison.
Okay, I don't have a picture of her. I was about to throw up a picture. Freddie,
she's pretty
Gariel.
fascinating to me. I forget if it was her eye color was like a different, I don't know, I don't remember. It's like violet, I forget. Anyway, But she was the first Legends lady for me. So EU lady, really.
Wasn't she Luke's Jedi?
Almost
Luke's
girlfriend.
Girlfriend
Almost.
in that book?
Almost.
Girlfriend?
They denied
Okay.
each other, which was good.
Who's a better fit, Gariel or Lumaya?
Oof.
You don't have to answer that one. Meg, out of all the characters we've discussed tonight, which one are you most excited to learn more about?
Oh, blanking on the name, but the one who read books instead of
Tion Solusar. Yeah.
Yes. Give me more.
Yes.
I mean, it's up to
Awesome.
me to read more, but
That's
yes.
awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah, she's introduced first in the Jedi Academy books, which we're going to talk about pretty soon on the show.
Fan fiction, please.
Nathan is planning on reading those with us. Couldn't be more excited. Meg, we're going to turn it over to you. Talk to us about some Legends collections that are on the site. Meg has been taking over the editing, coordination of all of our collections. We've been making a concerted effort to write more collections about Legends characters. What ladies of Legends do we have reading guides of live on the site right now? You can go click on and read more about right after this episode.
Oh. Once again, Jared, I've lost.
The show notes. Okay.
I've lost the show notes.
Well, we've got, I'll help you out here. We've got a reading guide on Tahiri, a reading guide on the Solo twins with both Jason and Jaina Solo. We've got a reading guide on Mara Jade, kind of an old school collection. It's been up there for maybe a year. And a reading guide about Asajj Ventress. So you can find, you want to read more books about Asajj, more books about Tahiri. You can read through that and click on the Amazon affiliate link, the eBay link, the Thrift Books link. It's up to you. Click that link, though. And in the meantime, as you're reading up on some of these incredible ladies of Legends, next week we've got Taco Tim joining us, Timothy Guthrie, for book 2 of the original Thrawn trilogy. So dust off your copy of Dark Force Rising. I almost said Dark Horse Rising. That's a different thing entirely. Dust off your copy of Dark Horse Rising and buckle up for one incredible sequel to the sequel to the sequel of Star Wars. I think I got the right number of sequels there. Meg, thanks so much for coming on the show. We've really enjoyed having you here. We've got a lot of love from Meg in the chat. We've especially got One Nile saying, or One Eel, you say it like millennial, but it's One Eel. Anyway, she says, Meg, you're so awesome and empowering, and I could not agree more.
Oh, thank you.
And thank you, everybody. That does it for this week. Thanks for joining us for Legends Look Back. I've got Meg. I thought it was going to be Freddie, and it's Meg, so that's cool. Thanks for joining us for Legends Look Back. Thank you especially to our incredible patrons who are listed here on the screen who have helped us to get to this point. Now that we're live on Twitch, you can help us out, of course, by subscribing. If you have Amazon Prime, you have one free Twitch Prime gaming subscription a month, or it's something like that. And we'd be honored if you threw that our way. If you've got feedback for us, like Stephanie did, you want your question read on the show, you can email us at legendslookback@utini.com. You can join the Legends Look Back Discord channel. You can find us on Twitter. I'm at Jared Q. Mays. Freddie is at Wake Up Freddie. Apparently we lost Freddie. That's fine. And F's in the chat for Freddie, please. R.I.P. Freddie. And, of course, you can just leave comments on the YouTube videos as these are posted each and every week, just like Stephanie did. If you're looking to buy some of these books and want to help support the show, look up a book on Utini. Click the Amazon link in the profile, and we'll get a few cents to help keep the lights on. Another way, of course, to help us out and show your love of Utini is by grabbing some swag from Teespring. And boy, do we have incredible swag. Wearing some of mine, can't get this one? You can get something even better. You can, of course, grab your It Was So Artfully Done tank or the Thrawn-inspired tee that Jose designed, which is especially good since we're deep in the middle of the Thrawn trilogy in our roundtable episodes. If you've read any of these books, head over to utini.com and leave us a review. Let us know what you think. And please, remember to be a force for positivity in the fandom and keep the Utini fan code. Everybody, thanks for joining us. May the Force be with you.
This is a Utini broadcast.